Hello there, and welcome back to the Showing Up to Life podcast and YouTube channel. My name is still Art Burns, and once again, I'm very excited to be here with you today to discuss some, thoughts and ideas and concepts, but most importantly, we talk here about practice and how important practice is for the cultivation of what we call mindfulness, and now mindfulness is a huge word. So really what we're talking about when we talk about the practice, we're talking about the practice of being here, being right with whatever is happening right here, right now. And doing so without a sense of judgment, right? Because it is in that sense of judgment or in that action of judgment that we usually start to experience some difficulty in our lives. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that in just a second. But let me tell you what we're doing here today. So this is actually a very impromptu little podcast I'm doing here today, little session. I wasn't planning to do this, and that's what makes it impromptu. But there was a couple of things arose this morning. So, one thing was, I was actually driving home from my hockey game a couple hours ago, and somebody had a bumper sticker on their car in front of me that said, kindness matters. And I thought that was really beautiful. It was like the graphic was like a big flower, and the kindness matters was like right in the middle where all the sweet pollen would be, and it was really kind of really beautiful. And I thought that I was kind of thinking about that for a moment. And then just prior or before I left for my hockey game, I was scrolling through Facebook for a couple of minutes just to check in and, just kind of, just see who's out, see what's going on. I spend a few minutes in the morning and a few minutes in the afternoon. I try not to overdo it, as I think we should all try not to overdo it, not to be, I think social media is one of those things that it has a very, very beautiful place if we treat it in the way that is beautiful, right? And if we overuse it, or if we use it as some sort of escape, well, then it becomes something that was once positive but now has become something negative, right? We'll save that for another episode. Today, I saw a post from someone who was also talking about kindness and even compassion, and of course, as you know, I mean, I preaching to the choir, right? When you're talking about kindness and compassion, like I am all about it. Because I know, as I've told you here before, that as we practice kindness and compassion, we actually are cultivating a very important integration within our brain. And that integration is something that allows us then to be, more well and more stable and more adaptable to our circumstances and be more at peace, right? And that's always very important, right? And so when I saw this, this post this morning, and even the bumper sticker, these are all beautiful ideas, right? And so the friend of mine was just posting that, we should be more kind to each other and even to ourselves. And I really love that he said that. And I and this is somebody I respect a lot. And I think he does beautiful work. And he's, he's trying to get into the mindfulness teaching and stuff. And so I'm fully supportive of the idea of just suggesting, as he did and as the bumper sticker did, that we should try to be kind, that just be kind, But that is not, in my opinion, the way that we are able to be kind, right? Because first of all, I don't think kind is something that you be. I think kind is something you do, and anything we do, right, is a form of skillfulness, or there's a skillfulness, component to it, right? There's a level of skillfulness to anything we do is a more accurate way to say that, right? And so kindness is just like all the other stuff that we talk about in this podcast here. Kindness is a practice, or it can be at once a practice and also a skillfulness, right? Or an ability, if you will. Because that's the thing, that most of the times that we're not kind, when we see people who are not being, not exercising kindness or practicing kindness or being kind, they are, or doing kind, as I say, most of the time that is happening, it's not happening because they're making some conscious decision to not be kind. It's because either they lack the skillfulness to be kind because they just don't know how to do it, right? Because they've never had the experience of doing it. They don't understand it. It doesn't apply in some level, right? Or if it's not that sort of sense of, that they don't have the capability of doing it, and I think more often than not, it's the case where people are not being kind because they are suffering on some level with something internally, externally, both, neither, all of it all at once. And this is the real key here, right? Because it could be said then in light of that idea, and again, anybody can disagree with me. I would love to have a conversation. It's not something where I'm like expecting anybody to accept what I'm saying in a sense of like dogma or anything. This is my opinion. This is my idea. I mean, I believe that I'm right, and I think that if somebody was to sort of, let's say, softly challenge the idea, I think I could back it up with evidence and understanding. So, but by all means, I mean, we're all just people, right? Like I'm not any better than you are in any of this, right? We're just all figuring it out as we go, right? And that's why I'm here talking to you today, because something connected today when I read that post and I saw that bumper sticker, right? That the people who were talking to that were saying, hey, be kind or remember kindness or do kindness, right? The people that we need to hear that the most are the people for whom kindness is not accessible. Again, either for the reason of a lack of skillfulness, a lack of ability, or, and again, more often than not, I believe, it's because there's no capacity for kindness because somebody's suffering. And so that really, again, indicates now what really is the skillfulness then of kindness, right? Because I would argue, in light of that the skill necessary for kindness is not being kind or doing kind, and yes, there are many, many exercises that I could teach you right now, and I'm going to give you one today before we go, that I could teach you, dozens of practices that you could develop the habit of kindness. And even you, though, after doing these practices, are going to experience moments in which you're not kind. And again, I would suggest and perhaps argue that the reason why we lose that ability to be kind or to practice kindness is because we're experiencing difficulty and struggle and suffering. And so that's why really the skill that we most need here is the skill of awareness, the skill of understanding, where am I right now? What is going on with me right here, right now? Do I feel tension in my body? Do I feel, what is the emotion that I'm feeling right now? And what's the story in my mind going on right now? Is the story in my mind something that is positive and optimistic and excited and hopeful, or is it a very pessimistic and catastrophizing and self-critical and hurtful? Because it's when we get to understand, or when we get to develop the skill of listening to that and understanding that what's going on with us. That's when we recognize those moments where we're not able to shift into kindness. And here's the thing that's even taking this a step further, right? Is that when we do notice those moments where we're not comfortable, whether it's, again, whether it's something in the body, it's something in the emotions, or something in that story of the thoughts and the mind, right? Or most likely it's all three, because they all influence each other and they're all connected to each other. All three of these aspects of our experience, which I've told you this many, many times before. But when we notice it, when we notice the suffering, when we notice the difficulty that we're having, the tension, the emotions, the bouncing back and forth, ricochet rabbit mind, as I said a few weeks ago, and just listening to the story and like, why am I being so cruel to myself right now, right? That when we learn to listen to that, what we're almost always going to find is that at the root of all this, there's some form of aversion, right? Resistance to the moment, resistance to what is happening right here, right now. Or there's a form of clinging to some way that things are supposed to be for me. How dare things go wrong for me? Things are supposed to go right for me. Or it's the delusion of that storytelling mind that is telling us that everything is falling apart, the sky is falling, where's Chicken Little when I really need her, and all this that's going on in the mind. This is what's stopping us from being kind, because kindness, as our friend Dan Siegel I often quote, kindness and compassion. Back up a little bit. Integration made visible is kindness and compassion. Integration made visible is kindness and compassion, which is to say that when we are in a state of well-being, when we are balanced, when we are in a state of integration, then kindness comes naturally. It's like it's you don't have to do anything. It's just, in that case, you are being kind because it's what you are and who you are right now. This is it. It couldn't be any other way. So now the question is, and if you recall, Dan and I had a conversation about this, and I asked him very, very directly, if integration produces kindness and compassion, then doesn't kindness and compassion also produce integration? And he said yes. In fact, he said that was the most important question anybody had asked in that call. Like 800 people, most of whom were PhD students and stuff like that, right? But anyway, which, pat myself on the back a little bit, But anyway, again, though, that brings us back to the paradox, right? That once I'm out of a state of integration, then kindness and compassion are not available to me, right? Again, now there's two ways to approach this, or there's two ways we should look at this, perhaps. Number one is that in those moments that I'm feeling that discomfort, that tension, that whatever it is, which indicates a state of disintegration, right? Because I'm outside of what Dan Siegel would call the window of tolerance or the river of well-being, right? I'm not adaptable and I'm not able to be in the moment without the aversion and the clinging, right? So there's, we could either see that moment and then we can apply kindness. We can practice kindness in that moment. Or we could look at it as the more we are able to, and really it's both. It's not either or, it's both. But as we're also feeling into the difficulty of the moment, and we're noticing those moments where we are clinging to something, or we're averting to something, or we're lost in the delusion of this story of our mind. Well, that's a moment where we can practice kindness for ourselves. That's a moment where we can say, hold on a second. I need to pause for a moment because I'm having a really hard time right now. There's so often that we feel like I can't do that. I'm not allowed to do that. I'm not allowed to stop. I'm not allowed to, what about all my obligations? What about all my, responsibilities that I have? Well, here's the thing, if you're in a place of integration, then all of those obligations and all of those responsibilities you're going to do them much, much more capably. I promise you that. You might even be able to catch up if you take 10 minutes for yourself. And it doesn't even require 10 minutes. Really, all we're talking about is a matter of seconds of your day. 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Go crazy and go 30 seconds, right? But all that's required is to notice that wow, I'm having a hard time. And so what can I do for myself right now that would be an act of kindness to help me along with this difficult time. Now, the difficulty could be anything, right? The difficulty could be, work related, or it could be something with your family, or it could just be something internal that you're struggling with, like these last few days, Father's Day, I was really traumatic and intrusive thoughts going through my mind about childhood and just all that difficulty, right? Now, I can't stop those thoughts from happening. I can't stop work from being work. I can't stop my family from being my family and doing whatever they're doing that's causing me the difficulty, perhaps, that I'm experiencing. But what I can do, what I really can do any moment, and you can too, is I can pause and I can ask myself again, what is in my body right now? And as we're feeling into the body, it's really, we're talking about the area of the chest mostly, and the face, right? Those muscles around your eyes that seize up when we're feeling tension, or the whole face can get like molded into this tense face. Is that happening right now? Am I feeling that tension in my face? Am I feeling a tightness in my body, my chest? And if I am, well, what can I do? Can I just close my eyes for a few moments and breathe? Can I listen to a little comedy? Can I wash some water on my face? Can I go get an ice cream cone? Is there something kind I can do for myself right now? But again, even that is the secondary question. Pardon me very much, because that's a secondary question. Because the first question is, when I notice that tension, and again, whether we're noticing it in our body or we're noticing it in the emotions, can I inquire into what emotions are present right now for me? And when I find that it's an emotion of negative type of emotion, can I hold that? Right? Can I sit with that for a moment? And then again, examining the thoughts and the story going through, right? And as I'm experiencing any one of these three, you don't have to necessarily bring awareness to all three all the time. Even one will do, because we know that they're all connected. I guarantee you, if you're feeling that tension in your chest, there's something going on in the thoughts as well. And the thoughts are creating an emotion that's not positive. I can guarantee you that almost every single time. So then the first question we ask is, am I resisting something here? Is there something happening here that I am not allowing to happen? Am I thinking that somehow I can control the world and change it to my liking? Conversely, or really just the same thing looked at in another direction, am I holding on to some idea of how things are supposed to be right now? Which again, it's the same thing as resisting what is, right? It's just looking at it from a different direction for all intensive purposes, right? In all intents and purposes. Oh my God, I just made that mistake. I always call people out on that. Pardon me for that. But anyway, I can ask myself, am I resisting something here? Am I clinging to something here? Am I attached to something? Or am I seeing things as things really are? Or am I allowing this story of my mind to color things in such a way that is not accurate, and that is bringing me the tension and the heavy emotions and the difficulty that I'm experiencing? And then once we see that, because in most cases, one of those three questions is going to be a yes. If you are experiencing tension, or you are experiencing negative emotions, or you are experiencing a catastrophizing, self-critical, pessimistic kind of thought pattern or storyline in your mind right now, odds are that you are resisting something, or you're clinging to something. And I really shouldn't use the you pronoun. I should use the we pronoun, because it happens to me too all the time. And that's the other thing that this mindfulness stuff is. It's not about avoiding this stuff all the time. It's not about never experiencing tension again. I believe that's an impossible paradigm. So what it is about becoming so familiar with yourself and so kind and caring of yourself that you notice those moments where you're feeling it, whatever it is. Again, whether it's the body, the emotion, or the thoughts that you're particularly zeroing in on. Almost all the time, it's going to be there's a resistance, there's an attachment, or there's a form of delusion or inaccuracy in the way we're seeing things. And that's where, again, now the act of letting go of the attachment, the act of accepting whatever it is that I'm resisting, and the act of non-judging awareness in the face of the delusion, these are acts of kindness. When I can let go of something that I'm attached to, I am practicing kindness to myself. When I can accept exactly what is happening, exactly as it is, 100%, not a single detail could be changed, because right now in this moment, this is how things are. Every single detail. And when I can accept that without judgment, that is an act of kindness for myself. And then something magical starts happening as we start to bring this kindness towards ourselves, and we start to, again, work with kindness within the practice of awareness. Well, then it becomes accessible for us to practice kindness for everyone. Even when we're feeling difficult, even when we are suffering. I was a blubbering mess the last couple of days, but when I was at the store and the cashier and I were talking, I was showering her with kindness. I felt nothing but love and kindness for this person, even as I was struggling. Because that's the thing also, is that when times struggle, we can't stop it. As I said before, we can't stop what is here. Right? We can't stop the intrusive thoughts coming in. We can't stop our coworkers from being our coworkers. We can't stop our family members from being our family members, on and on and on and on. I can't stop that lady who cut me off on the street. I cannot stop any of it. Now, I can make wise choices that bring about change. I can choose to work with different people. I can choose to avoid roads where, people tend to cut each other off and these kind of things, right? Doesn't mean that acceptance doesn't mean that I'm stuck with it. Acceptance means that just right here, right now, I am not going to hurt myself by resisting it. All right. So real quick, let me tell you, I'm going to give you two practices right here. Okay. One's going to be like a 2-in-1, and then I got another one for you. The first practice, set a timer to go off on your phone, okay? 3 to 4 times a day. And when it goes off, and you don't have to do every single one. If it goes off one time and you're in the middle of a meeting or something, it's okay. You can skip that one, okay? As long as you get more often than not, 2 or 3 of them a day, it's fine, okay? Don't become attached to any paradigm of this practice. Do what is available to you. That's the important thing of this work. Okay. And as the timer goes off, when you're able to, just feel into your body. Just notice the chest. Notice the face. Okay. Now, as time goes on, you can start to then check in with the emotions and the thoughts as well. But for now, just keep it very, very simple. And just check in. Is there any tension in my chest right now? Is there any tension that I'm feeling in my face right now? Then ask yourself the very simple question, 3 questions. Is there anything I can accept right now? Is there anything I'm resisting right now? Is there anything I can let go of? Is there an attachment here that I can let go of? And am I seeing things really for how they are? Or is my judgment and the story of my mind coloring the experience and making me feel a certain way about it? Okay? Now, those are the 3 things that, again, now once you notice those, then the opposite of those things, right? If I'm not accepting, if I'm resisting something, then just accept it. Just accept this is what is happening right now, and I can't change it. I can make I can change something in the emergent future, progress of the moment, but I cannot change what is. Okay, that's it. If I'm noticing that I'm clinging or attached to something, like, oh, no, 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 I need to have that pizza today. If I don't have that pizza, I'm going to be so angry. Can I just let that go? Right? Just let go. Just say, you can't have the pizza, which again becomes acceptance, right? And then if I'm seeing things, if I'm looking at somebody and oh man, I feel a certain way about that person, and I'm there's something, this thing about them, right? How much of that is colored by my own judgment and my own, sort of story in my mind? And can I stop that? Can I just see them without judgment? Okay? Now, practice number 2, and this one is really powerful. And again, I'm going to ask you to set the timer, and maybe you can combine them too, the two of them, right? So every time the timer goes off, you do that little, pause, check-in practice, right? And asking, can I accept? Can I let go? Can I stop judging something, right? At the end of that, right? And this would be a great way to do the practice. At the end of that, and this way you don't have to do 2 different timers. At the end of that practice, look around you. And anyone you can see, and if, well, first of all, you don't have to make eye contact. They don't have to know you're doing this, and you're not certainly going to say anything out loud. But instead, just look around, and any people you can see, 5 seconds. That's all we're talking about. Not, don't spend 20 minutes like, oh man, I think there's somebody way down there, but, 10 seconds, 5 seconds even. And just each person that you can see, just look at them. And just in your mind, say to them, I wish you well. Okay, I know I've given you this practice before, but I gotta tell you how good it is, how amazing and powerful this practice is. Okay, so again, what you're going to do is when your timer goes off, 4 times a day, hopefully, you're going to pause for like 30 seconds and just notice, is there any tension in my chest? Is there any tension in my face? And if there is there something I can, is there something I'm not accepting? Is there something I'm attached to? And can I let go? And can I accept? And is there something that I'm coloring this experience with my story in my mind? And if so, can I come back to a place of non-judging awareness? Okay. And after I've done that, I'm going to just look at the, basically the first, 3 or 4 people I see, and I'm just going to say, I wish you well. Okay. Now, here's what happens. What happens when you're alone when this happens, right? What happens? Every time the timer went off, I was, in the car or at the, at home in the shower or whatever, Okay, fine. I gotcha. If that is the case, think of someone. Just think of someone. Technically we want to do 3 people, but right now we'll just do 2, okay? Or we'll do multiples of 2, right? We can think of, say, one person who is someone we deeply, deeply love. Like this is a family member, a great, close friend, even someone who we, revere in the public sphere, or, a deity even, right? Like I love my God, right? Whoever that is for you. And then, so we picture that person and we just say to them, I wish you well. I wish you well. That's it. And then we pick someone who's a neutral person. Is there someone who you work with you don't know very well? Is there a clerk in a store that you know that you see all the time? Is there a barista that you see from time to time? The mail, the letter carrier in your neighborhood. Picture one of these people from your life and just again say, I wish you well. And if you feel like taking a few more seconds, picture a second positive person and a second neutral person. Now, eventually, you bring in somebody who is a little spicy. This person doesn't, I don't like this, but this person does things that hurt me. Eventually, we can bring that person into this practice as well. But for now, just start with the positive and the neutral. All right? All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I enjoyed doing this this afternoon, because again, this was really not planned. I'm in between a couple of things. I got to go in about an hour or so. So I had some time. I wanted to check in with you all, and I just want to tell you also how much I really, really appreciate you all. Why I see the numbers, and I see there's more numbers coming up. It seems like more people are listening here and more people are watching, and that's just so exciting for me. So thank you all. Thank you very, very much. Now, if you have any questions about these practices, or if you want to learn more or more deeply about them, or you want written versions of these practices, just reach out and contact me, okay? I love to hear from all of you, so please keep the emails coming. art@artburnscoaching.com. All right, everybody, I wish you well. I'll be back again soon. Take care.